other songs.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Passive aggressive. What do you think about those words? What do you think about that bit of life? Forget about politics. Forget about the guy driving in front of you who's driving as slow as molasses. There's this thing called passive aggressive. And you may say you're not passive aggressive, but I think we all do it. I think it's a human trait. And I just get so sick of it.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I've been experiencing it at the places that I work at lately. I've been talking about it on the show called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And it's getting kind of tiresome. Hey, it's episode 1687. I'm in a mode of being happy because it's Friday and this week has been nuts. I like women with really big eyes, with lovely smiles, like my lovely lady friend.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And she's got a lovely rump. You know, this is all part of life, and you should appreciate your lover's rump.
Mike's
I think I may have
Daily
said something a little off
Podcast
to some of you just then, but
yeah,
you catch my drift. The thing is, life is short. And I got to have dinner last evening with someone who was interested in possibly moving to Huntsville, Alabama after listening to the podcast where I was speaking about Huntsville and talking about Marsha Buxton. Mike, it's Marsha Buxton. I'm driving you around today, showing you all over Alabama. Oh, by the way, you haven't had anything to eat and you're about to puke in the back seat of my SUV. Marsha Buxton, who is always late. Loved Marsha Buxton so much. And I did not go into too much about Alabama, but I mean, I talked to this guy interested in Alabama, talked about Alabama with him, and he's very interested in it because he's been there a couple times, and he likes, and this is a thing I keep forgetting about Huntsville, Alabama. It's growing, and there's a huge engineering sector that has relocated to Huntsville, Alabama. So that's awesome as well. And today's show is going to be very different because I'm using a completely different... Oh my gosh! I haven't used this template in a long time. But Mike, what are you talking about? Oh, it's a template where the door only opens now and people walk in. Hello, Michael Masters, this is such a different template. It is. This template is... Oh my gosh, this is the template with music. Oh, yeah. So somebody I work with said, listen to the podcast and goes, you got that music playing in the background and it's so distracting. You probably shouldn't have it. So I took it out of the podcast. So now, ladies and gentlemen, back by popular demand, the music playing in the background, which is me on this piano playing feverishly as I'm doing the podcast. What other podcaster is playing the piano feverishly as he's doing the podcast? What song is this? I don't remember this one. Café Anyway. Café Anyway. Yeah. I don't remember. Look who else walked in.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Car crash sound effect right here. Do you know that? Guys, how do you like this piano music I'm playing?
It's pretty good there, Mike.
Yeah, Mike. We're rocking out to it. Do you know that? Car crash sound effect here. Do you know that? Excellent, yeah. Oh, I still have that. And I don't think I have the Here's Today's Podcast picture. I want to drop that in right here.
And here's today's podcast picture.
President Putin was extremely strong and powerful.
Yeah, because usually Ariel just comes out of nowhere and says that and scares me. But I made her show up on by my doing that clicking. So the podcast picture yesterday was from the wonderful little walk I did over in the Oyster Bay Isle section. Oyster Bay Regional Shoreline is what it's called in San Leandro, where I don't know if there's any oysters or not. But let's see, 5 years ago was 2013. Do you remember that year much? I do remember in March of 2013, I went to a very bizarre place where I saw a jellyfish on the ceiling. What the hell? Oh, I was walking... Here's a Mother Bleeper with a Hat by Stephen Adley Gurgis. January 29th through March 16th. Okay, that was in 2013 that took place. I hope it was a success. At any rate, around that time period, I was walking around the... What theater is that? The SF Playhouse. I was near the SF Playhouse in San Francisco. And, oh yes, I went to see Opera on Tap. It is in a brewery, not a brewery. I guess, yeah, it was a brewery. Come to think of it. It did have I don't know what this brewery was. Shoot. It was also a tap house, basically. You could have any beer from anywhere type thing. And they sang opera on Saturday nights. And they had a big screen up where they would show you what they were singing. You know, they're singing in Italiano, and up on the screen it shows you what the words are in English. And there were mostly young people singing, and it was wonderful. Candles on the table. It was a free event. It was on a Saturday. I remember going to that. Wow, 5 years ago. But I remember passing by this other place. This is not the opera singing place. This was some restaurant that had jellyfish on the wall hanging from the ceiling. Jellyfish like lamps. So let's make that the podcast picture for today. On this crazy Friday after a crazy week where I was bombarded by so much freaking passive aggressiveness. It just would not stop. I hearkened back to however way you say that. I don't know how to conjugate verbs. So I thought back to a time recently where you remember the show, the last one I did? Did you hear it? Maybe you didn't, or maybe you're just catching the show for the first time right here, right now. The last show, it ended with a fun conversation with me and this guy discussing... Well, he was discussing how we were in the bathroom together in separate stalls, not the same one. No. And he said to me as he was doing his thing, Mike, I got these pants at Costco and I really like them because they've got this, the little clasp, the button thing that holds them up. It moves. It's got like a spring on it. So if you're fat, as a lot of Americans are, it's going to expand with you. And I laughed because I said, oh my God, that's exactly the same pants I'm wearing right now. And that's how the last podcast ended. If you didn't hear it, you missed a masterpiece! A masterpiece! Opera singing on a Friday. Passive aggressiveness. What a strange template for a show. So, and I also ended with the guy I was talking about who said, I will deny I ever said this, but... And then he would go into talking about somebody at work. If you ever bring this up, I'll deny I ever said this, but... Or he would say something really wingnut conspiratorial. I'll deny I ever said this, but I saw a UFO and Colonel Sanders came out and he threw a bunch of Skittles at people and it was delicious. So... The people that were talking to... Oh, yes. So the show, which I was hearkening back to, or however way you want to conjugate that verb, they were interviewing some people from Nigeria. And there's this one lady who comes in and looks like some Nigerian Uber queen. And I've met her before, actually. And she comes up to me, gives me a big hug. And she's like, Mike... Do you love what you do? The work that you do that is not even a Nigerian accent, but it was very thick and dramatic. And it was, Mike, do you love what you do? And I said, yeah, I guess I do. I love the work I do. I love the work I do. I don't like the passive aggressiveness stuff going on, but I love the work I do.
Ah, that's great. Can I say a prayer for you later?
I said, oh, okay, yeah. So that was fun. Oh, but during the interview, this African Queen Mama, super all-knowing life force, her daughter was there. And her daughter, probably in her 30s, brought her 2 kids and brought them into the studio where they're doing this interview. And the kids they're bored as hell. They're running around. They're playing with their smartphones. They're kind of wrestling, and it just was not good. So one of the ladies put the kids outside, but then they're like running around and causing chaos. Oh, it was an interesting recording session. So finally what we had to do is have each lady we'd interview the ladies in specific one at a time, whilst the other child did the child care thing. As we go outside of Café Anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. I don't know if you want to bring kids into a radio station with all the passive aggressiveness going on. Who knows? Maybe that's a thing. But if I did say that, I will deny I ever said that. But I will say that Huntsville is a lovely place where you can go and enjoy Big Spring Jam at the end of the summer with lots of music and concerts. There's lots of little cute little towns and lots of interesting waterways. You would not know that in northern Alabama that there's so many waterways, but there are. Tennessee River, Lake Gunderson, there's the Muscle Shoals and all the beauty that lie therein. So I don't know if the guy I had dinner with is going to buy houses in Alabama. Perhaps he will. But I wish him all the luck. And as I told him, if he ever wants any more info about Alabama, if I think of anything else, I'll let him know. As of the moment, I am basically comatose from having no sleep last night. No, I had like 6 hours of sleep. Woohoo! I feel rejuvenated. So I think I'll be able to make it through this Friday. And I did make it through 12 minutes, so I'm happy with that. But that's the new shortened Mike's Daily Podcast. And training, I'm still training the kids. Training the kids to do what I do, like recording the interesting Nigerian talk shows and whatnot. So I better get back to that. Hey, meanwhile, real quick, with this last thought, Facebook is testing a dating app, but only with its employees. Is that a recipe for disaster or what? I mean, tell me, is that company going to fall apart? What if they're all dating each other, huh? What if Mark Zuckerberg is having an affair? I'm a comedy writer. I wrote comedy just then. Hey, guys, check out my new podcast where I write comedy. Hey, guys. Oh, God, I hate that's got to stop. No podcast should start with a hey, guys. And no YouTube video should start with the hey guys. I just thought I'll end it there. And that John Cicada is still amazing. He's in his mid-50s. I neglected to mention that on the last show. And he still looks like he's in his 20s. Pretty cool. If you go, say goodbye. There'll be nothing here in my life. 'Cause all I really want is you. I won't do a Super Secret Sunday show probably, but hopefully be back Monday for you, unless something goes horrifically wrong like this past Monday. So we'll see how it goes, huh? Till then, enjoy your weekend, and thanks for listening to the show. Check back here. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Mike's Daily Podcast, or go to mikesdailypodcast.com for all the links to how to contact me and all the places to listen to the show and to check out the podcast picture. It's marvelous. Enjoy your day, and I hope it's a template for the opposite of disaster. I think that would be the word wonderment. Maybe. I don't know. I can't conjugate adjectives.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!